Is Kyle Shanahan on the hot seat or should he be fired? These are some questions that have been thrown around online and typically just online. But it's getting to the point where and these notions are being asked to people who've played the game at the highest level, who've been involved with the NFL at its highest level, and understand how the game works and really understand the intricacies that go into these types of decisions. So, uh, Kay Adams on Up and Adams had Luke Kuechly, arguably one of the greatest linebackers of all time, onto the channel. He's talked about the 49ers quite a bit. He knows Fred Warner well, knows Christian McCaffrey well, Dre Greenlaw, all of those guys. And he was asked about this. He was asked about what his thoughts were on this topic. And so take a listen to what he had to say right here.
We were going to ask you about this last week before it was a big thing, and now it's a bigger thing. Let's get into it. It is the Bleacher Report. It is sports. It's everyone. Everyone's saying get rid of Shanny. Is he on the hot seat? Should he be gone? They're 5-6. You watched them yesterday against the Packers. They got no juice, my friend. You can say what you want. I know you love them. I know you love Fred Warner. I know you love Christian McCaffrey. They got no juice. What do you think about that?
I think it's preposterous. I I have played against Kyle Shanahan. I love him as a coach. I think any talk about them moving on from him would be a terrible decision for the 49ers. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I had such a challenge playing against that offense and that system and what they're capable of doing. I just think that they've had some injuries at key places this year, and with that being said, they're a game back in the NFC West. I think moving
You
on
told
from
me
him would
you
be
told me Christian
ridiculous.
McCaffrey was healthy. Luke, did you lie to me? Because he sure doesn't look healthy. Did you lie
Hey,
to me?
what's that? I would never lie to you. Christian's gonna be just fine. He's gonna be just fine.
I think you might. I mean, I've been watching. I feel like it's uncharacteristic. He's not all of a sudden a not in non-impact player. I don't know. So tell me this: if they're 5-8, this is another discussion going on, and you're a perfect person to ask. You got to take your heart out of it, though. If they're 5-8, 5-9, should they shut Christian down?
No, I don't think they should. I think I as a player, I'm gonna speak as a player. I
Okay.
think getting shut down, guys play football because they want to play football. And guys like Christian love the game and love to compete and love to be out there with the guys. I think shutting him down takes away the joy that he has of playing football. And he works so hard. Football is so important to him. All he wants to do is play football and be around the guys and help them win football games. So I think, yeah, it's been a difficult season for him. Obviously, they went to the Super Bowl last year and they expect more from this season. They've been banged up. Ayuk's been out, Christian's been out, Kittle's been out, Debo's been out. Obviously, Purdy didn't play last week. Trent's been dealing with some stuff. But I think shutting down players as a player, I think it takes away the opportunity for these guys to have joy of playing a game that they spend so much time on, they work so hard for, they come back from injuries, they spend their whole life making sure that, especially with Christian, that they can be at peak performance during the season on Sunday. So I would hate for that to happen to me. I would imagine that he would feel the same
I
way.
know that we're saying all of these things that we're saying. You're saying it's absurd to have the Shanahan thing, and I do too. But there are I mean, it's fair to question, right? It's because I mean, the argument would be you're naming all of these injuries. Well, Luke
Mhm.
Kuechly, the Chiefs, have had just as many, if not more, injuries to key difference-making players, and they somehow get over it. Why
Yeah.
can't the owners? Why can't
Well,
they?
I think you look at the Chiefs, they got one of the best top two guys in the NFL playing quarterback. I think that's a huge advantage for them. I think they played really well on the defensive side of the ball this year and kept them in games. And they've got lucky's not the right word, but they blocked a field goal. They've had some stuff go their way, but I think a lot of times you can say they get lucky, you can say stuff's gone their way, but good football teams just find ways to win games, and that's what the Chiefs are right now.
But the Niners have so much talent. They have this window. They have a history of it's a very pedigree team. We expect so much out of them. So at what point would you consider him on the hot seat? If they have a losing season, he should just,
No,
is he ever going to have to win a Super Bowl to keep his job? How does that work with him?
I think they're seasons. I think they're seasons away from having that conversation. I just think if you're
If
John
you're not
Lynch,
going to go to Chicago, he has to. So I'm just trying to make something.
I like him. I like him out there in San Francisco. I think they've. I think Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the NFL, and I think them talking about him being on the hot seat is a result of just
Greatness.
how highly people think about him.
It's fair. It's like the bad and the good of it, of how what an offensive dynamo he is.
If you kind of look around and you kind of look at the people who've been asked this question, who have credibility within NFL circles and have done this at the highest level and truly understands what it takes to and the ramifications of these types of decisions, they all say the same things. They all they almost scoff at the question, like let alone entertain it. So I always find that interesting, because I'm of the belief too that the notion of firing Kyle Shanahan is ridiculous, because what are you accomplishing? What is it fixing? And how does that make you better as a team? And when you ask those questions and you start to rip it apart and you try to figure out and find the answers, there's really not a whole lot. And that's why I think that the people who understand this game say the same thing. They all say like that's crazy talk. Like, why would you do that? And I think it's easy and there's multiple perspectives, right? Like, the reason why we ask and are looking to find people of credibility who understand what it takes is because they can provide perspective. There's perspectives everywhere. There's fan perspective, there's content creator perspective, there's player perspective, there's front office perspective, there's whatever perspective you can think of. So that's why it's important to understand all the perspectives and then be able to kind of understand the situation holistically. And one thing can be absolutely true. You can be upset with Kyle Shanahan. Like, you can be upset with how the season has gone. You could be upset how his offense is running. You could be upset with the penalties. You could be upset with whatever you want. You're absolutely valid in those opinions, because it hasn't been good this year. It hasn't been something where we've sat back and said, "Oh yeah, this is a Kyle Shanahan masterclass." It just hasn't. That's just not what this year has bared out. So again, I think just two things can be true at once. Like, you can be disappointed with how the season has gone, and with the responsibility falling on Kyle's shoulders. Like, yeah, you could be not happy at all with how Kyle has performed. But when we talk about the notion of moving on and firing him, it just doesn't make sense on multiple levels. For one, the San Francisco 49ers just gave him a contract extension last year, along with John Lynch. So if they were to fire Kyle Shanahan after the season, they're eating multiple years in money and both of their contracts. Not only are you firing them, but you're firing the entire coaching staff. You're getting rid of Chris Forrester. You're getting rid of Bobby Turner. You're getting rid of Chris Kosurick. You're getting rid of Johnny Holland. You're getting rid of Bullocks. You're getting rid of everyone, not just the ones you want to get rid of, like Sorensen and Schneider. You're getting rid of everyone, because a new coach, a new general manager is going to bring in coaches and players that fit what they want to do. Do you remember what happened when Kyle Shanahan came in? What did he do? He gutted the roster. He got rid of guys like Navarro Bowman. He got rid of guys that, we know as like 49ers legends, but that's what happens. It's a new wave. They come in, they build their foundation, they get rid of everything, and they build it from scratch up. And so what do you get with that? A reset? Not a retool, a reset, complete shift in ideology, complete shift in culture, complete shift in, you're tearing down everything if you fire Kyle Shanahan, because everything he's built that has gotten to the 49ers, to multiple Super Bowls and multiple deep postseason runs, you're tearing that down. You're getting rid of that for the thought of hope in the unknown that some hotshot coach from college is going to come in here and revitalize the program, or some hotshot OC is going to come in here and revitalize the culture and the competitive nature of this team. Like, listen, like, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Like, you can say fire Kyle Shanahan all you want, but what is the plan? What is the succession plan? Getting rid of everything? Getting rid of everyone? You want to fire Chris Kosirk? You want to fire these guys that have been phenomenal pieces to our coaching staff? Because, yeah, this year hasn't been the one that we wanted. And yeah, we've gotten to the ultimate place where we want to be, but we've fallen short twice in the fourth quarter and overtime. Like, I get it. A lot of frustration that comes with that, a lot of emotions that come with that. But firing Kyle just doesn't, it to me, it feels like it scratches an emotional need. It doesn't actually trigger logic. It doesn't actually trigger anything that makes sense, because what are you signing up for then? You're signing up for your entire franchise, the team that you root for every Sunday and Thursday and Monday or whatever they're playing, that you could be setting your team back potentially 2 to 3 years from being competitive again, because they got to reset the roster, they got to reset the culture, they got to reset the coaching staff, they got to reset the front office. Like, that is a daunting task, just because you don't like the way this season has gone, or you don't like the outcome of previous seasons. So again, two things can be true. You can not be happy with Kyle Shanahan. You can want more. You can demand more. You could have higher expectations than what you've gotten. But just to fire him because you don't like the way the season has gone, we're not to that point yet. We're not. And anyone with any type of credibility would understand this, and would have the wherewithal to recognize that. But that's just where we're at, is that with social media and the way that these algorithms work and everything, you don't have to have any type of credibility to have a voice in this space. So it is what it is, man. And I think it's a conversation that I understand, but I fundamentally disagree with. And I'm someone who doesn't think Kyle Shanahan's perfect. I think there's a couple flaws have come to the forefront, not only this year, but that have been there, that have just been highlighted this year. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you Kyle's a perfect coach and that he's walking on water. But again, you have to weigh all options. You have to understand everything from a holistic standpoint and from like a global perspective. And there are just so many moving parts with firing a coach that, yeah, there is a world exists too where you do find success, and a new coach is that thing. But I think the percentage chances of that being the case is much slimmer than you would expect. And we know Kyle would have a job the very next day. Are the 49ers a number one landing spot for a team with a you know older core that's on the brink of a pretty substantial rebuild or retool, because they have to pay their quarterback, they got to reset the roster? Like, I don't know. It could be a desirable place. It could not be a desirable place. I don't know what it like. There's no guarantee of what you're going to get. It's going to come in here and fix anything. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. Curious to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.